This guy is nuts. Is he really making daily recordings of his possible divorce and releasing it as a podcast? They both cheated on each other. She's making six figures and still doesn't contribute to any joint endeavors financially. Why is she still with him? Why is he still with her? I can't wait for the next episode. This helped me be a better wife. So this is how men think. I hate my husband less now. I understand my wife more now. These are some of the listener comments to the Divorce Diaries podcast. All over the map, I know. These anonymous accounts of events should resonate with anyone that has been married, is married, or is preparing for marriage and helps couples avoid pitfalls as they might prepare for marriage. Entire seasons are released on Patreon weeks before anywhere else at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Link in description. Now for today's episode.
This is a diary entry that I've been looking forward to making for quite some time. Last week, I was feeling very anxious and sad and hopeful and lots of fucking ups and fucking downs of emotion because this week, today in fact, I'm supposed to have a mediation session. And the entire time leading up to the mediation session, I'm thinking to myself, what the fuck are we mediating for? Why am I going to sit virtually or in a room with my soon-to-be ex-wife to discuss anything? We can't talk about anything. We can't discuss the weather because we're probably not going to agree on that. I'm going to look outside. I'm going to see a clear sky like it is today. And I'm going to say, man, it's a nice day. She's going to say, it's really hot though. And I'll say, yeah, it's really hot, but it's not as humid as other days, right? Yeah, but still, my hair's gonna get frizzy. I'll be an idiot in the past. Oh, it'll be okay. We'll just try to get inside. We'll get out in the early morning before it gets too humid. Then we'll get back before then, have lunch inside, maybe watch a few shows on Netflix. And then if we'll go out later after the sun starts to go down. Oh, but then I'll be tired at the end of the day, and that means I'll have to get up really early, and it's my day off. I don't want to have to get up early. And I didn't realize in the past that I would always find myself in a situation where I was trying to help or solve a problem that was never a problem. Two people like that, where one person tends to view the world in a more optimistic and happy and hopeful way, is married to a person that looks at the world through the lens of, well, it could be better, or this is bad. An optimist and a pessimist. I used to think that I was the pessimist because I always found myself toiling over what wasn't going well and how to fix it. I never took the time to realize that I was always toiling over what wasn't so great because it was something that was presented to me by my soon-to-be ex-wife. I'm looking outside now, and in fact, not how I feel, in fact, it is a very nice day. There are a few distant clouds in the sky, but it's one of those days where the sky is almost blue everywhere. Yesterday, for sure, the sky was definitely in that way. It was just, everything was just blue. No clouds, no sun cover of any kind. And it was hot, but not very humid. That's the fact of yesterday where I live. And today it's a little bit cloudy and the wind's going, and I think it's about, let's see. Hey Siri, what's the weather?
One moment.
She's thinking. I don't know. Usually when she takes this long, she can't get an internet connection. So we'll go with 86 degrees right now. It's probably what it is. And I thought about the mediation and I said, what the hell? This is going to be a total waste of time. But my lawyer, he called and he said that, hey, they want to do mediation and I'm going to be there with you. And I said, whoa, what do you mean? You're going to be there with me? That's weird. I didn't expect you to be at mediation with me. He immediately said, I didn't either, but I'm not going to let you go by yourself. I said, go by myself? What do you mean go by myself? He's like, yeah, well, opposing counsel's going to be there, and that's not how mediation works. So since opposing's going to be there, I'm not going to let you go by yourself. I said, oh my God, thank you. Wow. And I said, do you think they're trying to ambush me again? He immediately said, definitely. They're trying to ambush you. And then before the mediation session today, this is when mediation was, I said, hey, do you think, no, I'm sorry. He said, I got word that opposing wants to propose a settlement. And I said, oh, okay. Do you think that they were going to propose settlement if you weren't here, or propose whatever offer they're going to make if you weren't here? He immediately said, no way. So I made a very good choice picking the law firm that I did. They've been great, and they've been expensive, to the tune of in the 7 months of me retaining them. So far, I looked at my credit card statements and I've paid them a whopping $22,500. Jesus. And they just called me yesterday and asked for another retainer of $1,500. So far, all told, I'm in $24,000 to these strangers who I hopefully will never do business with again, at least not in this capacity as divorce attorneys. They've been good. I think that they have defended me from someone that meant me ill. It's amazing how things deteriorate so quickly. And in fact, now that I look back, I will say that I think that things can deteriorate so quickly when they were never healthy to begin with. And that is truly how I look at my soon-to-be former relationship with my soon-to-be ex-wife. I would say that she is most certainly not a good person. All of the things that she's seeking, all of the things that she did financially and tangibly put into our marriage and relationship, they pale in comparison to what I did. And the things that we put into our relationship intangibly, I'm not going to say they are equal because there's no way to measure something intangible, but I do believe that she did the best she could as the mother of our children. I do not believe she did the best. Take that back. I believe she did the best that she could as my wife. I believe that the best she could do was not good enough for me. I believe that I did the best I could as the father for our children. And I believe that I did the best I could as her husband. I believe we shared in what we felt we could put in. I'm sure she would echo. She thinks that I probably could have done a better job at being her husband. And I will say, in hindsight, knowing what I know now, I could have done a better job at being her husband. The results of the settlement today were an agreement. In the next 1 to 2 weeks, I should be divorced. I will have to pay a sum of money to my soon-to-be ex-wife, and I am going to happily pay this money to permanently have this woman unable to financially affect my life again. I will continue to be a father that will be there for my children, but this is over now. Well, almost. For what it's worth, I am thankful that I met my soon-to-be ex-wife, I don't have relationships with most of my children that we share. If it wasn't for this experience, I wouldn't understand where I failed as a husband to her, times that I failed as a father to my children, times as I failed as an advocate for myself, a champion and good leader for our family. Because I truly believe you need to take lessons from every experience you have. And they all should be positive lessons. I should not have married this person. I met my soon-to-be ex-wife while I believe she still had a boyfriend. I had to ask her, hey, before we make anything official, are you still with that guy? When I look back now and I think of that initial coupling, I think, wow, sure, I was a teenager, dumb one at that, but looking back now as a much more mature man, that's not the way that you want to start a relationship with someone. My soon-to-be ex-wife was supposed to be someone that I experienced. Our paths crossed. I'm not saying that they should have been more or less or whatever, but our paths crossed, but they weren't supposed to cross in the way that they did. Now, with my youngest living with me, I look at this entire situation and I say, wow, this is what my children could have looked like had they had either only me in their lives or a mom and a dad that were maybe on the same page, or at least if we were publicly, if I knew that what I would say to my children, if I knew that my wife was going sort of behind my back and saying something else to them, changing the narrative, or telling them it's okay, you can just sneak around behind your dad's back and do something this way or that way, I wouldn't have ever damaged my children's relationships by punishing them or fussing at them or yelling at them because they were continuing to disobey me, quote unquote, when in fact they were disobeying a private agreement that we made, but they were also they were disobeying a public agreement that we made, like the story with my son and smoking weed. And I remember he was fledgling in school, and I noticed that his attitude started to change a lot, and just he became more somber, carefree. He lacked any luster. He wasn't vacant, but he was almost absent. He just existed. And I'm like, what's up with this kid? What's going on? Long story short, he was smoking weed and a lot of it. And I'm like, hey, look, you're a minor. So I believe he was 16 or 17 at this time. I'm like, look, you can't live in my home. I pulled that card, you live by my rules as long as you're under my roof. I pulled that one, right? If you are under my roof, you can't smoke. And mom's rule was you've got to go to school, to college. And she and I privately talked, or what I thought was a private talk, and I said, look, I'm not so keen on him going to school because I don't think school's for him, at least not right now. I think he's floundering in life. I think he's trying to figure out direction. And I think if he's forced to go to school, he'll probably end up wasting time, money, and we could potentially risk him wanting to ever return to school. So I don't know if a gap year is a smart possibility for him. I don't know if backpacking through Europe makes a lot of sense. I don't know if him going directly into the workforce and giving that a shot, possibly the military. I didn't really pitch that one because that's a really hard thing to pitch to any mom for their son. And to be honest, I don't want my son in the military. Not that I look down on it. I'm thankful for everyone that's in the armed services. But when you think of your baby potentially going away and dying in some foreign land, it doesn't sit well. It didn't sit well with me then, even though I knew that that could be a really smart situation for my son to go into because it would provide discipline, and the discipline could come from someone other than me. And maybe his wayward path would somehow straighten. But she said, hey, for him to live here, he better go to school. And that's her criteria. So I said, all right, you're going to back me up for my criteria. He can't smoke weed if he lives here. She said, yes. And I said, I'll back you up on the college deal. And I said, with that, we might have both things cornered. His mind will no longer be weakened by this drug, and he'll be in school and having his mind strengthened. Her big thing was if he goes to school, no matter what, even if he's upset, he'll be able to just leave school and he'll be able to get a job. And I said, okay, it's a fair compromise. Sometimes we all can't get what we want. And I went to my son and I told him before that, and I'm like, look, if you come up with a good plan, I'm still willing to take it to your mom. If you have a good plan for the 6 months, the 1 semester or a year that you'll take off from school, if you've got a really good plan, I will back you. But you've got to come up with a good plan on your own, and then we will take it to your mom, and I'll try my best to sell her on you not going to school and just pursuing an alternate path. And he didn't come up with a plan, so that was fine. In fact, he did come up with a plan, and I didn't see it as this before, but he came up with a plan that he shared with my soon-to-be ex-wife and his sibling, but he never sent it to me. And the only person out of the three of them that had a brain was his younger sibling. She came to me and she said, hey, I don't know why my brother sent me this plan of his, but I looked at it and I told him, whoa, that's not a good plan. What are you thinking? I forget what it was, but it was a really dumb plan. And according to her words, like, whoa, really? Okay. Why didn't he send it to me? I said, well, I'll just wait. Maybe he's going to send it to them as a boilerplate, and he's going to get their opinions. He's going to rework the plan, and then he's probably going to introduce it to me, because the whole plan is send me the plan so that I can say, hey, I think this is good. I'm comfortable going to your mom and saying, hey, can we break this? You must go to college rule to live here. Meanwhile, I'm paying every bill in the entire home. And that's how it all shook out. So, I didn't think about it at the time, but I am now. She didn't come to me and say, hey, your son sent me a plan for him to not go to college. She knew and was probably working things with him in the background. That hurts me to think about it now. It pleases me to know that I'm divorcing from her soon, very soon. So, geez, I'm sorry. I just lost my train of thought, just going back to how things were and the pain that was. So, back to the weed. We all sat down and publicly agreed, and he said, yeah, all right, I won't smoke weed to live here, and I will go to college. I said, okay. my security cameras that I had behind my home, just to monitor everything, where raccoon's going to knock off my trash can, the kids jump my fence and hop into the yard or anything like that. I don't know. But I had cameras up. And I noticed that 2 and 3 in the morning, I'm getting a lot of alerts on activity behind my home when there's usually nothing going on. And this is after we made the agreement. I go to the footage and I see my son behind the house with his computer, nothing but smoke wafting, coming out of his mouth. He's smoking weed late at night behind our home. And for about 2 weeks, I'd gone to my soon-to-be ex-wife, and I'm like, this kid is breaking all the rules, and I would save the footage to my phone, and I would show it to her and text it to her. Look, he's out here doing this, and he's not respecting me and the rules for the house, and I wonder if he's going to respect your rule and going to school, and what are we going to do about this? And if he doesn't respect authority, the world is going to show him that he should, and then there's going to be nothing that I can do to help him. And I'm saying this to my soon-to-be ex-wife for weeks, but I didn't realize as I'm saying all of this stuff to her, she's never responding. I'm venting and I'm going off the deep end, right? I'm losing my mind and I'm flying off the handle. But she's cool as a cucumber. After I berated my son for probably the 3rd time and said, I'm this close to asking you to move out because you're trying to do whatever you want to do, which I totally respect, but you're continuing to do this in this house, and I don't want to watch you abuse the only brain you have. He eventually told me, God bless him, I'm smoking behind the house because Mom said if you get caught smoking, you could get arrested because it's illegal where we live. So just smoke behind the house on our property where you'll be safe. And I said, wait, she told you this? He said, yeah. I said, when exactly did she tell you this? He starts to think, and I say, let me be specific. Did she tell you this after we agreed you couldn't smoke weed to live here? He said, oh yeah, for sure, it was after. He and our relationship was so strained because I was coming down on him like a ton of bricks, and I'm thinking that he's just smoking weed, being 100% defiant. I didn't know that he was smoking weed because he was bolstered with confidence to break his father's rules behind his back. So he did a great thing for me and put me at great peace by informing me of, oh wow, oh wow, oh wow, she is undermining you for, who knows, but for his approval, so she looks really good, and she doesn't care if he's losing brain cells or underperforming. And if I were to let the cat out of the bag right now, I believe the last time me and my estranged son spoke, he's living in his girlfriend's grandparents' basement with her. Seems like they may be 2 wayward young kids that are enjoying physically being with each other, with more enabling people enabling them to be irresponsible under their roof. And voila, that is how you find a middle/upper middle class child in a situation where they're not doing anything with their lives, wasting away and slowly aging, which we all know, if you've been on this earth long enough, there isn't really any slow aging. You look up, boom, 10 years have gone by. Boom, 20. Boom, you're in midlife. Holy shit, where'd the time go? And then you try to say, you know what? I got to start slowing down. I got to start enjoying every moment. I got to start to relax. I got to start to go on vacations or value that relationship. Man, I wish I could have called that person and told them I love them before they died. Wish I could have gone on that fishing trip with that person, whatever it is. But he's slowly, aka quickly aging. Time's going by. He and I don't have a relationship. My soon-to-be ex-wife is sort of estranged from him, and I understand that because she doesn't realize, but I'm very close and have been talking to her sister. We've stayed in contact through all of this because she's like, what the hell happened? What's going on? And after I tell her everything, and I show her emails and I show her text messages, and she's recounting things that happened with her and her sister when she was young, all of a sudden, to everyone, we all realize who the villain in the story is. I finally was able to no longer be gaslit because I've finally been able to recognize I am not crazy. I literally was going crazy around my son's sanity and his future. And I was questioning my own sanity. What have I done wrong? Where have I gone wrong? Why is my child this way? Why is my child that way? I don't understand. I don't get it. What could I do better? How can I help him? I want to save this kid. I was put on this earth to be a dad to him and make sure that he was okay. And I'm failing at that. Look at where his life is going. And then finally, I'm able to understand, actually, when your wife moved out, she did this. And then I even asked, I said, I know I'm asking you something that I shouldn't, but I'm still thinking about all the things that I've let go. And deep down, and I'll say her sister's name, I'm like, I feel like aside from your sister cheating, her moving out, there are other men. I feel like there's this guy that was in high school with us, and he said, hey, this is your girlfriend? She sucked my dick. And we and him used to be friends, and I pushed the guy, and I'm in his face, and I'm like, what the fuck, man? Don't ever say that. And I said to my sister, and I said, this guy said this when we were in high school. Did she really with this guy? And she just she got silent. She said, look, all I will tell you is you think that you need a divorce. And all the stuff that she just very somberly but very directly said to me, you know enough. Even now, as I say that, I just understand now that my soon-to-be ex-wife, the stuff that I know is only the tip of the iceberg. And that's okay. That's okay. I am now, in the next 2 weeks, this divorce decree is going to be drawn up. Checks are going to be issued from my retirement accounts, sent over to her, and I'll be able to just get on with my life. My wife is going to continue to grow older. She's not speaking to the youngest that lives with me, and I don't know what my youngest is going to decide. I'm supporting her in having only healthy relationships around her. I'm not discouraging her from having relationships that are tough. But she's young, and we as parents are supposed to do the right thing and protect our children from people that mean them ill. I didn't think for a moment ever in life that a person that I would potentially have to protect my children from is their own mom. I didn't realize, fuck that. That wasn't an accountable statement I was about to make. I didn't accept that my soon-to-be ex-wife was the person that she was. I didn't accept that she was a taker and I was probably codependent. I didn't accept that I didn't know how to cut off a bad relationship with a bad person. I didn't accept that I added things to the toxicity of our relationship, making something toxic more toxic. I didn't accept that was okay. I should have accepted the fact that I needed help from how I may have grown up. I needed help with my arrogance and getting that in check because, oh, yeah, no, I'm too good and too smart to have picked someone that I shouldn't marry. I'm too smart to have screwed up so royally. No, no, no. It's got to be something else. It's got to be too external. I didn't accept a lot of things. So now look at where we are. I'm going to be entering into family therapy to try to get people together to talk again. Well, my family tool belt to keep things together and build folks up, that is permanently away now for this family. I now accept my soon-to-be ex-wife for exactly who she is. The toxic taker. And she's doing it one last time, which is fine. She can take. I could have doubled down and, according to my lawyer, spent another 40 grand to go to trial and then come up with another shitty agreement on the backside. Done. My friend that got a divorce, he said to me, "How much is your freedom worth?" And I've just continued to commit that to memory as I've kicked and screamed and been frustrated that a person that was given so much monetarily and intangibly could take so much so easily. And I thought about it. When you've got a child and they want a popsicle, right after they're done that popsicle, when they're about the age of 3, maybe 2, you're like, all right, 2 hours go by. They want the taste of that popsicle again. And you remind them, hey, you just had one. Like, but I want a popsicle. They don't care that they just had one. They don't care that if they have another, it could rot their teeth. They don't want to be reasoned with in that way. They can't be. You cannot reason with a child that way. Hey, let me talk some sense into you. Let me help you realize this or that. Let's remember this. No, they are a child. This is not something they can do or handle or process. My soon-to-be ex doesn't realize that she may find herself with someone else she can take from, but she doesn't care that she's taking from me. She never did. She never planned on paying anything in financially or contributing in that way. And at the end of the day, we live in a capitalist society, and not contributing is not an option. I think a lot of single women probably find this out and are angry at that fact. I do believe in the notion that her money is her money and his money is their money. I do believe in that. But if you piss him off and you take half of his money, that's fine. But we may just have a lot of hurt and broken men that want to now keep all of their money, further dividing families. More prenuptial agreements, less marriages. Colder men, more guarded men. Women are to be protected, provided, and provisioned for. Women should be good stewards over the men that protect, provide, and provision for them and their children. The man that married you when you were younger, more beautiful, less affected by gravity, may love you into your older age. But if you scoff at that, kick that, like I'm being kicked, disrespected like I've been disrespected, cheated on like I've been cheated on, divide him from his children like some moms and like I'm experiencing are dividing their children from their fathers. I'm trying my best not to move through the world in a toxic way moving forward. I'm trying not to bring my trauma to not my next relationship because I'm not thinking that way. I'm trying not to bring my trauma to my next business arrangement, my next job, my next conversation at the convenience store, let alone my next relationship. But people are who they show you they are. And I was with a taker. This was supposed to end this way. And it also was never supposed to start and progress the way that it had. Yes, I can say the two things. I don't know what I was doing getting married so young. I shouldn't have. But I also could have been a better husband. Had I had the right sort of counsel, that could have helped. Had I probably been more receptive to certain things, that could have helped. Had I been a husband that listened better, yes, that could have helped. All of these things, but cheating, taking, hurting are things that will be tattooed on a man differently than tattooed on a woman. A man cheating, the tattoo on a woman is fairly light. Look at the Serengeti. One lion is impregnating all of the females in the pride. That is how it goes. Women are designed to share. The male human can ejaculate, and as many times as he can ejaculate are as many times as he can impregnate. A woman can gestate for 9 months. Clearly, the strongest and fittest of male is supposed to be with most women to protect, provide, and provision for his offspring that he has with these women. Only the strongest survive. And in our capitalist society, only the strongest, in this case financially, will survive. So, knowing that now, I will continue to echo what one of my best friends has told me. You are enlightened and ruined. I am enlightened by all of these truths and ruined by no longer being behind the veil of the blue pill, as it were. The blue pill being how you think the world is, but it really isn't quite that way. I thought we would be able to fix anything. I thought we would be happily ever after. I thought. Well, I thought wrong. That's not how things go. People have traumas, and if they're not dealt with in therapy or confrontation or moral experience or hitting rock bottom and having to bounce back, rehab in some cases of addiction, if you don't figure your way out of the negotiation that you're in when you're wrestling with your trauma, it's going to wrestle you into submission. And I had to submit. I'm thankful for my almost to the day, my 1 year of therapy. Every week for 1 year straight. I am totally a different person. And today, I've reached an agreement in divorce. And I looked at my text messages I have not spoken to with words. I believe my soon-to-be ex-wife since about March. Maybe it was the first week of March. And I haven't texted her since March. And it's July of 2022 now. The no contact rule is golden. And I'm doing it as much as I can, still having minor children. But as soon as my children, I believe, is how I'm feeling now anyway, as soon as they are no longer minors, my soon-to-be ex-wife, well, I probably won't have the energy or need to block her, but I will most certainly block her and commit to never speaking to her again. I don't wish her ill, but I don't wish her well. I just don't wish her anything. Today, as you can feel, full of emotion, full of amazement, full of relief, full of sadness. I didn't want our relationship to end this way, but I guess this relationship should have never started in the first place. Life is amazingly beautiful, and I still think it is that. Because I'm looking at my bed, and my bed is made. I didn't make it. I left and I came back and it's made now. It's made. And I've been under the weather, and someone wanted to take care of me and make sure that I was well. And they did. When I didn't think life would go on, I've realized life goes on. Relationships that you think will be good forever won't. Relationships that you think will be bad forever won't. Relationships that you think you'll never extinguish and will go without will end. Relationships that you feel you may never find again, you'll find, and you may find better. Life is amazing, life is beautiful, and I'm thankful to have lived it, even for the limited time that I've been here. And I'm fortunate to have known all of my children. I'm fortunate to even have had a relationship with my soon-to-be ex-wife, because the next half of my life, the next chapters of my life that I write aren't going to be full of those traumas that I hadn't yet confronted. Those bad experiences will no longer continue in my life, and I will just move forward. That's all you can do. Move forward. And I think in the next 2 weeks, I will officially have moved onward, and now it's time to move upward. Peace.
Wow! That was the Divorce Diaries podcast. The Daily Saga will continue tomorrow. The full season's episodes are on Patreon now. Subscribe for early access. Click the Patreon link in the description. Hopefully, these entries help our anonymous recorder as a form of his own personal therapy. That's his hope and his intention. Will these recordings of life's curveballs lead this family to the best resolution in the end? We'll keep listening. New episodes are released daily on all podcast players, but all episodes are available on Patreon at Divorce Diaries Podcast Patreon page. Until next time.